Welcome back to NewsX World. I'm Megha Sharma and you're watching Focal Length, where we get you a briefing of topics from across the world. Japan's far-right populist Sanseito party was one of the biggest winners in the recent upper house elections, attracting more voters with its Japanese-first platform that included calling for tougher restrictions on foreigners and the curtailment of gender equality and diversity policies. This has weakened the position of the Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba, whose party has lost majority in both houses of the parliament now. Will Prime Minister Ishiba be able to stay in power despite all pressure? Or will the Sanseito party play a larger role in Japanese politics hereon? Are the people of Japan looking for a major political change? Joining us now is Dr. Tomohiko Taniguchi, who was the special advisor to late former Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe. He's currently the special advisor to the Fujitsu Future Studies Centre and specially appointed professor at the University of Tsukuba. Thank you, Dr. Taniguchi, for joining me on the telecast. And of course, the first question I would like to know from you, how is it that you are reacting to the Japanese Prime Minister Shigeru Ishiba losing the majority in the upper house of the parliament?
It is one of the most serious blows ever given to the sitting Prime Minister of Japan. It's going to be likely that the Prime Minister can do very little on his own without continuing to have a compromise after another with the opposition party or opposition parties. What's been discussed very much hotly over the last 24 hours is to do with the fact that Mr. Ishiba openly declared that he would stick to the premiership notwithstanding this massive blow from the regional bodies of the Liberal Democratic Party, from grassroots members of the party, and also from among his parliamentarian colleagues. Voices are being raised saying that Ishiba should go. So over the next several days, I would imagine a cloud of huge uncertainties will have a looming effect on the Japanese politics.
Why has the right-wing populist party Sanseito emerged as a winner in the parliamentary elections in Japan?
The party's name, Sanseito, would be literally translated into something like the Party for Political Participation. I think their rise has been one of the phenomena that you should watch closely when it comes to the results of the Sunday's upper house elections. We must go back to 2 years ago when the then Prime Minister, Fumio Kishida was his name. Mr. Kishida effectively purged, if I may say so, the number of politicians who were previously associated with the now with the Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, who just passed away 3 years ago. The Japanese Liberal Democratic Party was very much like a big tent in which there were strikingly a wide range of political orientations. But the big tent was sustained by a big single pillar, and that big single pillar had traditionally been sustained by the conservative wing of the LDP, not social progressive wing, but conservative wing of the LDP. And as you can imagine, that pillar sustained by the conservative wing was actually shouldered by Shinzo Abe himself. When Prime Minister Fumio Kishida purged the ex-members of Abe group, you eventually witnessed the departure of the rank and file members of the LDP who otherwise would have supported the party under the influence of the conservative wing, and namely Shinzo Abe. The results of the upper house election this last Sunday clearly indicated that those supporters, those voters who would have otherwise supported the conservative wing of the LDP no longer do so. And they are eager to find another platform with which they could associate themselves. So that's one way to explain the rise of the Sanseito party. In short, that party has been successful in putting together people with frustration, who have a sense of frustration, who have a sense that they have been left behind by the conservative wing of the LDP. And it's an urban phenomenon. It's a phenomenon of the young generations, because the new party, if you look at the age distribution of the votes that went to the party, clearly 20-something, 30-something voters were in support of the new party, political party for political participation, or Sanseito.
Why has Sanseito's Japanese First campaign resonated so much with the people?
Not only young generation, but it's become a nationwide phenomenon that there is an increasing anxiety shared rather widely by the Japanese population. And that concern has been to do with, as you say, the influx of workers from abroad, and a huge influx also from of tourists from abroad. No abrupt change should be pursued when it comes to accepting foreign influences. That's the rule of thumb. If you open your country all of a sudden and embraces people from abroad in a massive way, again, so fast, so swiftly, people would become naturally nervous. And there is another peculiarly Japanese phenomenon that is to do with the fact that Japan is very close to China. 1 out of 4 foreigners living in Japan, either as students or as workers or as entrepreneurs or investors, are from mainland China. So the issue pertinent to foreigners, immigrants, whatever you call it, is basically an issue about China or the Chinese people, because 1/4 of that is to do with the mainland China and its people. And people are naturally worried whether those people from China are not under the influence of their single party, the Chinese Communist Party, and obviously many of them would be under the party's influence. So it's a phenomenon that did not exist 10 years ago, that did not even exist 3-4 years ago. It's an acute sort of change, so acute that there's a growing people who are getting nervous. The other thing is there is a group of small number, but a group of people who are extremely new to the culture of Japanese people and the Japanese culture. That is to say, an influx of Muslim people. Um, uh, this last couple of weeks, I saw a news clip depicting that in a remote corner in a rural area of Japan, there has been a gathering of Shia Muslims who wear black attire and who carry a black flag. I'm not saying that this is bad. I'm not saying anything like that, but this is very much a new phenomenon. So the newness, the acuteness, and the suddenness, those are the factors that have made a lot of people nervous or even anxious about the situation.
Also, there are comparisons being drawn between the Trump administration that has been advocating MAGA, which is Make America Great Again, to Japanese First, which is Make Japan Great Again. And there also seems to be a global trend where right-wing political parties are gaining more traction, whether we talk about United Kingdom or which is the Reform Party, which has seen a lot of support from the Trump administration. There's the AFD from Germany, and of course, we see elections in America that had happened last year. Do you think the domestic Japanese politics has also been influenced by this global trend? How and why?
Not necessarily influenced directly by what has been going on in places, as you mentioned, the UK, the United States, Germany, and so on and so forth. But the fundamental cause of those of the rise of right of center parties, I think, has something to do with the same fact that is that the United States, the UK, Germany, France have seen a huge influx of immigrants, sometimes non-registered, non-documented immigrants. And they are very much eager to work and make money in countries like the United States and UK. And that itself is not wrong. It would be okay. But again, society has something called the social fabric that has sustained the society in a cohesive way for a long, long time. And that social fabric, they feel, is being unraveled by this acute change, by this huge rise of people from very much different cultural backgrounds. And that has reached Japan. And in that sense, the phenomenon that we've been talking about the Japanese political situation, has had an internationally common element in it.
Is there a global trend where right wing political parties are now gaining more support from the public? And why do you think it is so?
The big tent party, Liberal Democratic Party, has collapsed. That's what I take. The broad church, big tent, is being divided into two: socially progressive and socially conservative. And as we discussed earlier, some of those socially conservative members of the LDP are leaving the party en masse and trying to find other parties that they could easily associate themselves with. Shigeru Ishiba may be able to stay in his office as prime minister for quite some time because nothing is going to be achievable without quid pro quo, without cumbersome, time-consuming concessions and compromises between the party boundaries and among many parties. And that is not the kind of job that you might perhaps want to seek. And there is of course, a talk that Ishiba's being so unpopular that there is a growing sentiment from within the party that maintains that Ishiba should go and do so soon rather than later. So there are a couple of scenarios. One scenario would be that Shigeru Ishiba would stick to his position as prime minister. Another scenario would be over the next couple of days, or several days, the pressure from within to oust Shigeru Ishiba is going to be mounting, and there's going to be eventually an emergency meeting among LDP parliamentarians in order for them to choose the next head of the party that who would eventually be the prime minister. But that itself is not an assured path because the LDP, the ruling party, and its coalition partner have lost the majority in both houses. And obviously, you need to have a majority in each house in order for your candidate to be endorsed as prime minister. So it's going to be very much a zigging and zagging process you are going to see.
Thank you, Dr. Taniguchi, for speaking to us on Focal Length. With that, it's a wrap on this episode of Focal Length. For more international news and updates, stay tuned on NewsX World.